welcome to the latest episode of the PokePopCast. We're going to have a special episode today, not only covering the FAQs for the new Darkness Ablaze set, but also we're going to have a cast joining us, the entire membership of Team Compendium, the people who manage the compendium of rulings. So that's cool. What I wanted to do, though, before we start was also ask people to subscribe and like these videos. It's important that we start getting a better presence on YouTube so that we can share these videos with more people. And the more people we have subscribed and liking these videos, the more that they'll be brought to other people's attention. So if you like these videos and you want to see more and you want other people knowing about them as well, please like and subscribe. Okay? And let's get on to our conversation. Thanks.
Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the PokePopCast. We have a special episode this week where we have the cast and members of Team Compendium. For those not familiar, Team Compendium is the group that for the past 20 years now has been collating and collecting and helping create with approval from Pokemon, the Pokemon Company International, and they get the rulings confirmed from Japan, official rulings for the Pokemon trading card game. Judges around the world use the compendium to help them make rulings, make sure that there's consistency and accuracy in the rulings in tournaments around the world. So we have, let's start off in the top corner here. We have Rich, and we'll have everyone just give a little quick hello and what you've been doing in the game over the past 20 years. You know, real quick, you can fit that into a sentence or two. Rich Wilkowski.
Hi, Big Daddy Snorlax here. Judging, playing, video, cards, Go, all things Pokemon all the time. I love it.
I'm gonna add something to Rich's thing. I had a player ask me not too long ago if I could give him a list of everyone who has been the head judge of the World Championships, and I said, okay, get ready, get your pen ready. You're going to be writing this. Ready, Richard Wilkowski. And that is pretty much it. There were a few years where they didn't have an official head judge for the entire tournament, but in those years, Rich was the acting head judge. So Richard's pretty much been the head judge or lead judge, they're calling it nowadays, for the World Championships.
Yep. Stayed with it long enough, they changed the job title 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. I am Mike Martin, PokePop. Just like everyone else here, I've been around for a good 20 years or so, judging tournaments, running tournaments, and, of course, doing the PokePopcast here. Jumping down to Chris Boucher.
Just like the meat cutter.
Jumping down to Chris Boucher. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right, Chris Butcher. Most people know me as Crispo. I've been doing it for as long as these guys have, of course, over 20 years. And I do tournaments, league, mostly trading card game, but I also play Pokemon Go a lot. Did the video games. Still don't have a Nintendo Switch. I'm sorry. But getting there.
Okay. Kim Carey.
So I'm a newbie compared to these guys. I came on in 2004 and judged in the World Championships that year, and have been judging many major events since then. And I have been a regional tournament organizer, city tournament organizer, Battle Roads tournament organizer, league owner, and had 3 kids that played Pokemon and loved it. And 2 of them are still involved to this day. One is a champion Tom operator, and the other is still a competitive player when we can break him away from Hearthstone. So we always had adventures going to the tournaments, and my son and I would get like strapped to the back of the car because the girls were tired of hearing us talk about Pokemon. And so we've really done it as a family, and it's been a real joy to be in the community and and associated brain events for many years.
All right, cool. And last but not least, we have Timon Martindale joining us on the phone. So we do not have a video of Timon, but I'll have a picture inserted here so you can see what his mug looks like. Timon?
Yeah, so I was a judge and organizer in Utah, and then I moved out here to Georgia in 2005. I've been an organizer here for all the cities, states, even ran regionals here for several years. I have been on staff for Worlds and Nationals, and usually when I'm on staff, I am in the Tom Ops, overseeing that. I'm referred to as the Hive Queen, as the Tom Ops area is the Hive. So been involved. I obviously play Pokemon Go, and it's a running joke in the family that anytime a new video game comes out, I make it to level 3, and that's as far as I can get, to the 3rd gym.
So, Timon, I was sorting through some pictures, and I found some pictures of you and I at the very first event we ever ran. Do you remember what that was?
That was the Stadium Challenge.
A Stadium Challenge, correct.
Yep, where the West was the best. That was our slogan at UC Berkeley for the Stadium Challenge.
Yep.
I was there, and I think Kim was too.
Yes.
Yep, that's where where I met all 3 of you guys for the first time, was at the Stadium Challenge in Berkeley. Yep. I ran that event. I think we ended up with 110 players, and I remember the contract we signed was for 600 players. That's as big as the venue we had at UC Berkeley.
Oh my God! I hope
It was a big one, yeah.
Hope somebody didn't lose their shirt on that.
Well, that was actually considered a big event in those days.
Yeah.
We hadn't grown to the 1,000-player events yet.
Yeah, yeah.
Unless you're talking about the Pokemon Mall tours.
Well, I was doing the PokePopCast a few weeks ago with Eves, and we were talking about how small the staff was for the 2004. I couldn't actually find a staff picture for 2004, but if you guys have one, let me know and get it to me.
Was that the one in Orlando?
That was the one with the striped shirts.
Okay, yeah. The hurricane probably blew all the photos away.
Yeah, anyway, I found a staff photo for 2005, which, was basically like 20 people. And you look at the size of the staff now, it's like, I don't know, 1,000 people or some crazy number. It's some huge number of people at these.
Kevin can't even make out faces. It's just bodies on a stage.
Definitely closing in on 200, I think, now.
Closing on what?
Yeah,
Probably closing in on 200.
Only 200?
Yeah, I do know the 2004 championship deck listed everyone that was in staff that year. I don't know if there's a photo or not in that booklet. If we can find a 2004 booklet,
that's a good idea.
They do list all the staff.
I'll have to look for that. I have those decks. I'll have to look and see if there's a photo in there. That was the year that the Americans were so sure that they were going to show the Japanese what's what, how to play the Pokemon trading card game, and the Japanese swept them.
And in fact, it was a sweep, but not the way they thought.
Yep.
Yeah.
Team Magma.
So sad. Not really.
Was that the year that you used the Aqua Magma decks that we weren't prepped for?
That was the Team Magma deck that the Japanese players came in with, that the Americans had just totally dismissed that set as a worthless set. And then the Japanese
found a way to make it work.
Came in with these Team Magma decks that just killed them. So, yeah. Chris Fulop did the best in the Americans. I think he came in second with a Blaziken deck. Okay, so what we want to do today is we have the new set, Darkness Ablaze, coming out. This is not good. Yeah, Darkness Ablaze. Ooh, open some packs up. And we've done the rulings. We've gotten the rulings back, and we will have them published by the time this video gets published. We're recording this on Wednesday night, so the rulings haven't been published yet, but by the time I get this put out and everything, it'll be the weekend, and the pre-release, the quote-unquote socially distant pre-releases will have started, and we'll have the rulings out, and we'll get this video out as well to discuss some of the rulings and also some of the other cards in the set. Yeah. So I made up a little short list here, and if you guys have any cards that aren't on the list I put together that you want to discuss, please feel free. But the first thing, of course, I think we should touch on is this set features the biggest Charizard yet, Charizard VMAX, with 330 hit points and 300 damage for an attack. And the attack, it's only discard 2 energy, so that's not a horrible downside to that attack. Any thoughts on, the collectability of that or the playability of that?
I think collectability, anytime you say the word Charizard, it's going to be collectible. I haven't actually seen the card yet. I haven't looked at any of the new set, but
they have some artwork of it on the back of the thing there. I don't know if that's what the card looks like, but
so it looks like it's probably going to be a decent looking card. So I think collectability wise, and I don't know how many different versions they'll pop in there, but that should be good. Now, playability wise is a different story with Charizards over the years.
Yeah, there's been very few Charizards. I have a Charizard deck that I play for fun at League. That one where you can attach 2 energy from the deck and place 2 damage counters on it, and that's a fun deck. Never did very well at big tournaments, but usually Charizard is more for the collector side than the player side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, the attack's kind of expensive at 5 energy too. So unless you got some good fire accelerant to fan the flames, as they say, it's going to be hard to power up.
Yeah, Welder's not rotating yet, right? Welder's still in the set in
Yep.
the format.
Yeah, you have a pretty good attachment engine for fire right now.
Yeah.
For a 5 energy attack, do you want to take that risk of having the Charizard on your bench being pulled up and, knocked out, and having your opponent draw, multiple prize cards? That's the balance.
Yeah, it's really just a big dumb beast. It's probably not going to see a lot of play, other than maybe kids playing it.
But it is always fun when they include a Charizard in the set because it just generates excitement. The pre-releases are always more excitement when there's a Charizard or a couple other cards. Of course, Snorlax would always be one that would generate huge interest. Talk about a card that's not playable very often.
Yeah. For those that want to see the stat promos, I'll also put them up. Let's see. There's Kangaskhan.
Yeah, Charizard is always a draw in the set. It also seems like Mewtwo does pretty good when a set features
Arctic Zolt.
in the set.
Yeah, Mewtwo's and Mews are always good draw.
Well, actually, since I'm holding this card up, this is Arctozolt. And why don't we discuss that one real quick? That one's got an ability, Biting Whirlpool. Whenever your opponent attaches an energy card from their hand to one of their Pokemon, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. So 2 things. One, it's similar to an old card that saw a little play, Neo Destiny Dark Ampharos. Was there another card that had a similar ability? It was either an Ampharos or something else.
Yeah, there's been a number of them that place damage with regards to attaching an energy.
Yeah, I remember there was another one that saw play, and I don't think what's really nice about this one is that you're placing 2 damage counters each time they place an energy, which is nice. So we actually don't have this ruling in the FAQ because it involves a card that is not in the set. But we will get this ruling out there. So there's an exclusive advanced ruling for people who are watching this video. Welder, if somebody plays Welder, they get to attach 2 fire energy from their hand to a Pokemon. And so then the question is, Biting Whirlpool says whenever your opponent attaches an energy card from their hand to one of their Pokemon, put 2 damage on that Pokemon, 2 damage counters. So the question is, well, does that count as 1 occurrence, or is it 2 energy attachments?
Yeah, because over the years, it's gone back and forth.
Yeah. So we have a ruling coming that we will publish after the FAQs that it will be 4 damage counters. So with all
1 for each of the 2 energy cards.
1 for each of the 2 energy cards. So with all of the welder that is being played and the massive energy acceleration that people get nowadays, aside from welder, this Biting Whirlpool might actually be a worthwhile card to play. It's only a stage 1, coming off of the fossil Pokemon, off of the rare fossil.
Rare fossil.
But stage 1, so you can get it in play pretty quickly, and potentially be a big hamper to your opponent. Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad the ruling went that way this time, because you're attaching 10 energies, but it's one attachment, so it only does, it only counts for once against the whatever power is affecting it. It's like, it's just one of those things. It's, just to illustrate, we don't always love the rulings that come down. It's like you sometimes are having just as much trouble as the players of just kind of understanding that and getting at peace with it. And so it's kind of nice to have that. And as I say, it's gone back and forth over the years. Sometimes it's a single attachment and you only get one effect, and other times you get an effect per energy, and it's nice to see it land on that this time.
Yeah, now then suddenly maybe becomes playable.
And that's one of the things that we do for the compendium is, we try and review older rulings to see if there might be some discrepancies in how the current logic works, and we try and keep the compendium up to date with whatever's current.
Yeah, that's always fun when they change out something works that we've thought it worked one way for decades.
We not only thought that, we were told that.
Yeah, we had the one recently with Eevee and Call for Family or something like that.
I don't remember the specifics, but I do remember it had been a rule that we thought was pretty stable for over 10 years, I think. It's been a long time. And then we've had it wrong all these years.
That you could search the deck even though you couldn't put something on the bench.
Right.
Nope.
No, we had it right for the years that it was right. Now it's wrong.
Good point.
That's right. We were right, and now we're still right.
Yeah.
They were right, and they are now right again.
Yeah.
So this might be a good point, since we're rarely all together on one of your podcasts, Pop, to talk about the fact that a lot of people ask about old rulings in the compendium, because it goes back to the very first sets, if you look at the versions, and they wonder why we don't upgrade them, or they'll find a real gotcha kind of circular logic one and say, oh, how would this work in unlimited? And we rarely do that. I don't know if anybody wants to jump in and talk a little bit about it, but it essentially comes down to the complexities and the fact that things were pretty loose at some periods of the game and have been tightened up or changed over the years. I don't know if one of you guys wants to jump in and talk about trying to make unlimited rulings in today's environment.
Well, I think it's more Pokemon doesn't want to look backwards and make rulings about things that are not impacting current official formats, current formats that are used in Premier tournament play.
Yeah, because there's so many things that you can do with unlimited that a new card comes out that can just totally change things to make it a broken game state. Not broken game state, but like a deck that just breaks the format, and nobody wants to play that in unlimited. Sometimes they don't.
let's talk about Mad Party. So Mad Party is the Night March version for this new set, and basically it'll do 20 damage for each Pokemon that has Mad Party in the discard pile. So there are 4 Pokemon in the set that have Mad Party. They kind of, if you notice, they kind of reflect the creatures that were in the Alice in Wonderland Mad Tea Party. There's a teapot, there's a bunny, there's a dormouse, I guess, kind of creature.
Yeah.
And I guess Mr. Mime is a stand-in for the Mad Hatter. But basically, what's your thoughts? You think that'll? And one of the things one of the Pokemon has an ability that lets you discard a Pokemon that has Mad Party in its the Mad Party attack and put it in the discard pile, and then you get to draw 3 cards. So that's a nice little bonus that Night March didn't have. On the other hand, though, Night March had that card that let you discard 3 cards out of your deck and put them in the discard pile. So maybe it's not going to be as good as Night March was. What do you guys think?
I think it's going to depend on if there's anything in the future that takes advantage of it as well. Because that's one of the things about Night March is that there was additional cards that came along in subsequent sets that also did Night March as well.
I think part of the problem is the hit points have jumped up again too.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, looking at the Poltergeist that has the ability you were talking about that discards the card with Mad Party. That's only got 60 HP and it's a stage 1. It's not going to be in play very long, I don't think. I mean, before something will take it out.
Well, that would be on the bench. The other ones would be the ones that attacking would be the basics. They all do times 20,
right?
Which is
right,
unfortunate. Yeah. And you're going to need two energy cards or double energy. Yeah, if you look at the Pokemon in Night March, there was a 30 hit point Pokemon and a 60 hit point Pokemon, so they didn't have a lot of hit points anyway. They're all going to be one shot. Any Pokemon that has less than 200 and something hit points is going to be one shotted in today's game.
Yeah. But on the bright side, it only gives up 1 prize.
Right.
Yes.
Instead of 2 or 3. So.
And it then adds to damage the next turn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so rare fossil.
We shall see.
Go ahead.
We shall see.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, we'll see.
Rare fossil, I just wanted to touch on real quick. Basically, it's back. It's got more hit points than it has in the past. A big thing for people to be aware of, unlike Clefairy Doll, you get a prize if you knock out a rare fossil.
But it's got more hit points than Clefairy Doll.
Yeah, it's got more hit points, but you also get a prize, even though it looks very similar. It doesn't have a retreat cost, and it's a trainer card that's played as a Pokemon. Dark Asset from Crobat V. Let's talk about how that stacks up compared to Dedenne.
I was going to say, so in other words, it doesn't stack. If you play more than one Crobat V, no. If you play one Crobat V, scoop it up, put it down again, you don't get to use the Dark Asset a second time.
Yeah, I think Dedenne has that same restriction, right? But Dedenne has you discard your hand and then draw 6 cards. So I think Dedenne, as long as it remains in the format, is still going to be the best card to play there. Any other thoughts on that? Think we'll see that being played much, or do you think people will stay away from it since you pretty much have to empty out your hand to make it useful?
Yeah.
We might see future play on it, and kind of like Crispo said, right now maybe not as much, but in a year when stuff rotates or other sets come out, it might be a key card for a lot of decks.
Right.
Yeah, that's the other thing that's important. Keep in mind that it might not be great at this time, but 2 or 3 sets down the road, someone will find a use for it. That's like, oh, hey, that's brilliant.
Yeah. So
and that card's been out for a while, so a lot of people have forgotten about it. So it can sometimes catch people by surprise.
Yeah, or like Timon says, once the rotation happens, suddenly it'll get a lot better in comparison. So buy them now while they're cheap. Primal Law. So this is an interesting one. We have a ruling on Primal Law, and we also discuss it in general. But Primal Law is let's see, where do I have it here?
Your opponent can't play any Pokemon from their hand to evolve their Pokemon while Dracovish is in the active spot.
Right. So this is very similar to some other fossil type Pokemon that have been in existence before, with I think one big caveat. The most recent example of this is Archeops, which was from Noble Victories and is still legal in Expanded. It's actually, I take it back. It would be legal in Expanded, except that it's banned. And the reason it's banned is because it blocks evolution even when it's on the bench. And so I think that's a big thing to be aware of with Dracovish, which it needs to be active.
Well, and it has that interesting interaction with Pokemon Breeders Nurturing, where it isn't so much an interesting interaction, but it's something that newer players may not understand the distinctions of from your hand versus from your deck. And so with Pokemon Breeders Nurturing, you are searching for a card from your deck that evolves from a Pokemon. Two of your Pokemon, you choose them, search your deck for a Pokemon that evolves from them and put it on there. And the Primal Law is only blocking playing from your hand to evolve it, whereas Pokemon Breeders Nurturing is coming from your deck. And so it's not the same thing as playing it from your hand. You searched it from your deck, and so Primal Law does not block that. So that's an example of the kind of distinction in Pokemon that you have to be aware of.
Yeah, I think especially for newer players, they take things very literal, because when you take it out of your deck, it's in your hand and you're playing
It's in
it
your
from
hand. You didn't take it out with your teeth.
But the cards are talking specifically about words that mean something in the game. Played from your hand as opposed to played from the discard pile or played from your deck.
So what's the difference between your hand and your hand?
Small h and capital
Well, it's
H.
a very subtle difference, Crispo, and I'm not sure 20 years in the game is enough to give you the background to figure that out. But it is true. You do see a lot of players get confused and say, well, I can't evolve because I have to play from my hand. I take it out of my deck and play it down. And that's not what's happening. So that was a good point.
And when the card game talks about hand, to Chris's point, when the card game talks about hand, it is not talking about your hand. It is talking about the thing that you hold in your hand, those cards which you have available to play on your turn, or the cards which you would have to show your opponent if they need to look in your hand. They're not looking in your hand, they're looking in what you hold in your hand. So the hand stands for what you would hold in your hand. So it's not referring to your actual
It's
myth.
not an anatomical hand. It's
not an anatomical hand. It is it's a metonymical hand.
It's a game location. A game location.
Yes.
There you go.
The hand is a game location.
Touching on a few other things. So we have hiding energy. Excuse me. We have hiding energy. We have a rule of hiding energy. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
I was just saying that's one of the new energies like they've been releasing the past few sets, where it actually counts as a particular type of energy when it's attached to a Pokemon.
Whether it's that type or not.
Right.
But you only get the bonus text if it's that type. For example, hiding energy is a dark energy card as long as it's attached to a Pokemon provides darkness energy, but you only get the extra text on it if the Pokemon it's attached to is also a darkness type Pokemon. And that bonus effect is?
According to
no
the
retreat
text,
cost.
No.
Yeah, darkness Pokemon this card is attached to has no retreat cost.
Right. So we have a ruling on that with Galar Mine. You wanna cover that ruling there, Chris?
Sure. Yeah. Basically, the question was, does Galar Mine add 2 energy to the retreat cost of a darkness Pokemon with hiding energy attached? The answer is no. If a Pokemon's retreat cost is set to 0 by an effect, it cannot be increased by Galar Mine. And that's similar to other rulings that we have done in the past as well, where if something sets the retreat cost to 0, or it has no retreat cost, you cannot add to it because there's no retreat cost.
Right.
Yeah.
And
setting it to 0 prevents additive effects.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that's a pretty common effect for dark type Pokemon. There's been a lot of effects throughout the years where dark Pokemon get free retreat costs, especially with energy, dark energies being attached to them. So this kind of puts it into an energy card itself, all encompassing in one energy card, which is a little bit different than the next one we're going to talk about, which is heat energy. The fire energy this card is attached to gets plus 20 hit points. So,
the fire Pokemon it's attached to.
Yeah, so that's kind of an odd effect for fire energy. We haven't seen fire that adds hit points before, at least very much I can think. And I can't think of too many things that do that. Can you guys?
Yeah. No. Usually it bumps up the attack somewhat.
And of course, we already touched on powerful energy. Now, powerful energy, I think. Okay, so powerful energy only provides one energy, C energy, but it gives a bonus of 20 damage, which is very unusual to have, and it only gives it to colorless Pokemon. So that's really unusual as well, to give a bonus to colorless Pokemon like that. Okay, let's get into our two big discussions here. We got the first one is Billowing Smoke. And Billowing Smoke is an interesting trainer card. If the Pokemon this card is attached to is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, that player discards any prize cards they would take for that knockout instead of putting those cards into their hand. And this was a ruling. It's not quite an FAQ ruling, but we put it in here anyway because it's such a big ruling. But go ahead, Rich. Why don't you talk about what that ruling was?
So we talked about how that is going to work when other things do something with those cards. And the ones we came up with were Greedy Dice and Jirachi Star, Wish Upon a Star ability. And so the ruling says, how does Billowing Smoke work with Greedy Dice or Jirachi and its Wishing Star ability? If you KO a Pokemon with Billowing Smoke attached, you do not get to use Greedy Dice nor Wish Upon a Star, since neither of those cards would be going into your hand. Any prize cards that would be taken for a Pokemon that has Billowing Smoke attached are discarded and not taken.
Not taken. So, I think that was the key word there, not taken.
Yep. And we actually went back and forth a little bit on that one. That was one we had quite a lively discussion on, because it comes down to the timing and where's that card at. But the ruling came down, and I think people can get behind it. It does make sense when you think about it.
Yeah, just to touch on how we do these rulings, we discuss what we think the ruling's going to be, because we submit the question and answer to get approved. But there's a number of cases where we're not sure how it's going to turn out, and so we submit multiple answers. And this was one of those where we submitted two different answers. Yes, it works, or no, it doesn't work.
And I think that
we're pretty
other
sure
than
how
sort
it's
of
going to turn out, but we think that we need to get the other things, ruled out.
Yeah, I think a lot of times our second or third answers are actually meant to bring up some things to make sure they're considered. Not that we think they're going to really tip the scales, but every once in a while we're wrong on that. It doesn't go the way we think it's going to go, but not too often.
Yeah, well, this was a case where I think it could have gone either way, depending on what the intent of the card creators were.
Correct.
Yeah, or sometimes we'll propose an answer that we've discussed it, and we say, okay, is it answer A or is it answer B? And then they'll come back and say, no, it's answer C, and then explain what the answer is. We've had that happen sometimes.
That almost never happens, but it has happened.
Yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, we try and cover all the bases with our A's and B's and C's, but every once in a while they throw one out that's like, nah, you guys are totally.
Yeah, so this was one where it turned out that because you are not taking the prize card, it is going straight to the discard pile. You don't get to use those abilities, which so the timing on this puts it before you even have the chance to trigger the ability.
Right. Well, and that's where our discussion's sort of centered is, does it come into your hand for that split second where it could work and then go to the discard or not? And it doesn't. It just goes.
Yeah. So basically you're choosing the prize card, and then before you even take it, it's straight to the discard pile.
Yep.
All right. So that's a cool one. Now, the one that I think people really want to hear the discussion on is Eternatus VMAX with the ability Eternal Zone. And that is a real fun thing. First off, one of the important things with this, there's been...
should we read the ability?
Yeah, what I was going to say, there's been translations on the internet for quite a while. And based on those translations, there were some questions about, how exactly does it work? And that's where I think people need to be really careful about translations, because, the exact text that they translate it to, or, they put in some explanations. Like in this case, they have the brackets with an explanation, which I don't think was in a lot of the text that people saw, and that can make a big difference. So Kim, you got the text up?
Sure. If all your Pokemon in play are dark type, you can have up to 8 Pokemon on your bench, and you cannot put any non-dark Pokemon into play. If this ability stops working, discard Pokemon from your bench until you have 5.
Yeah. So a careful reading of that, I think, answers a lot of the questions that have been circulating around on the various websites for the past month or so. But we got a fair group of rulings on this. Chris, you have the rulings in front of you, or Rich, you have the rulings in front of you there?
Yeah, I've got them here. Switch over.
Yeah, so let's touch on these one at a time.
Okay. So the first FAQ we have is if you have 2 Darkness Pokemon on the bench and an Eternatus, is it Eternatus or Eternatus?
Well, I pronounce
like
eternal.
eternity.
I pronounce it eternal, so I think Eternatus, but
yeah,
who knows?
Anyways, and that guy with the Eternal Zone ability, can you play a non-darkness Pokemon into your bench? And it says, no, you cannot play any non-darkness Pokemon into play. This includes things that would put darkness-type Pokemon directly into play, not just playing them from your hand. So if you have something that, search your deck for a darkness Pokemon and put it onto your bench, you cannot do that either.
Yeah, now...
For a darkness Pokemon, you could.
Oh, yeah.
Darkness.
Non-darkness, yeah.
Now
I think the question...
R&D actually included a comment in this when they approved this ruling. We didn't quite incorporate it into the ruling, but I think it's worth noting. Is he mentioned, and if you want to double check me on this, he mentioned your opponent can't make you put down a non-dark Pokemon either.
Yeah, I found that kind of interesting. Where he's saying that it stops dark Pokemon from being put into play on your side of the field. Period.
Yeah, so like I think what
right.
is target whistle?
There are effects that let you take basics out of your opponent's discard and put them on their bench.
Yeah, I think target whistle is
so
that.
That wouldn't work in this case,
except for a dark Pokemon.
So that's important. We should probably add a ruling on that too, maybe.
Well, that's an interesting one too, because if you play that and they don't have any dark Pokemon in their discard pile, it's not going to work.
So yeah, maybe they have a
play it.
Maybe they have a Dedenne GX or something, but you don't get to do that.
Yeah. Yep. Or if somehow they had Eternal Zone was active, they had, let's say, 6 Pokemon on their bench, and someone uses Target Whistle to throw a fire Pokemon onto the bench that would negate Eternal Zone.
Yeah, so if the ability is active, they can't do that.
We have an interloper that's joined us on visual.
Yes, I'm here.
There we go. Wow, look at that! Look at that impressive
beard.
You know, that really sucks because my beard used to be that color. Now
mine too.
Well, you've always been my idol, BDS. I'm going for the summer Grizzly Adams look right now. So
you got some big hair going there. It's looking good.
I do.
Yeah.
So
quarantine will do that to the haircuts. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm not doing for another haircut myself.
He's going for the man bun.
Yeah, we've got it going here.
Oh my God!
All right, with that interruption, let's look up the ruling.
All right, so without further ado, so the second ruling we did on that, if you have 8 darkness Pokemon on your bench, including a Weavile, you guys see this coming? And you devolve into a water-type Sneasel, can you discard the Sneasel and stop, or do you have to combine discarding benched Pokemon until you reach 5? And the answer is, once you begin discarding, you must complete the full action. So you do have to go down to 5. You can't just get rid of that one non-dark Pokemon.
Right. So that's good. Kim, you got the next one there in front of you, or?
Yeah, I do. If I have Eternatus VMAX with Eternal Zone ability and less than 8 Pokemon, all darkness type on my bench, can I use Giratina's Distortion Door ability to put it from my discard pile onto the bench and use its effect before it's discarded. Well, Giratina is a psychic Pokemon. And so in this case, you cannot even put it on your bench because it's not darkness. So no effects. This goes along with what we were talking about with the elaboration before, is there's no effects that can put a non-darkness Pokemon on your bench. And in the case where you have one that doesn't put it on the bench but makes it appear there, like you have Weavile devolving, it triggers the whole discard down to 5 process. So it's defended from both angles here.
Yeah, I think the important part of this, though, with all these rulings on this mechanic, is that it stops non-dark Pokemon from coming into play, period. They just don't get into play, as opposed to the things that we used to have where you could play them, but then it gets discarded immediately. And they were worded slightly different. This one basically says non-dark Pokemon cannot be played, period.
They said you can't even put it on the bench and throw it away right away.
Yeah, that would be that's the broken combo that people were going for.
Yeah, there was a lot of strategies on that one. That they were just waiting for this set to come out so they could just run roughshod for that first couple tournaments till they errated the card or banned it.
So for those who don't know the broken combo that people were going for here, Giratina lets you take it from your discard pile, put it onto your bench, and then place 2 damage counters on 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. And of course, their thought was, well, if I can do that, it goes straight back to the discard pile because I have to discard it. Then I can take it from the discard pile, do it again, and just basically rinse, lather, repeat until you've knocked out all of your opponent's Pokemon. And yeah, if it's too good to be true, it doesn't work.
Probably is.
Yeah.
Or it'll be errata or banned.
Yeah. So sorry guys, that don't work. I think that's about it. So what are you guys doing for the pre-release? Myself, I have a store that I work with, and they're going to be offering cards. I have also for my local players up here, for my league up in this area, where we're offering the pre-release set this weekend, so players can get access to those cards. Are you guys doing anything along those lines?
Well, up in Oregon, we're still not opened up where people can get together and play, so we're going to sell the cards as well. Pokemon was nice enough to try to help out the card shops, and they're doing some things, so we're going to help by selling those cards and help the stores out. And then we have our online leagues going, so hopefully people will get the code cards out of there and get the online cards and put their decks together online and play them that way in our league. But
yeah, that's a good thing to point out. In New Jersey here, myself and the DeAndreas, who run a league up in North Jersey, are hosting an online league, and we're getting some of the Jersey players together, and we hope to expand that out to a good number of players to play online. Pokemon has made available code cards, promo cards, but they're the code card version for trading card game online. So players can get those. So check with your local leagues and league leaders to see what's going on with that in your area. We're pretty much trying to keep it limited to the Jersey region, the people who will be coming to our leagues, but we really want people to do it in their local areas and interact with their local players.
Yeah, I think that sense of community is something that league really fosters, and part of me is really nervous about what's going to happen when all this COVID restriction releases and we can go back and go into the leagues. How many players are we going to lose? What's the state of organized play going to be like? It's kind of a scary thought.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those things where a lot of people, I think even once a lot of the restrictions are lifted, people are going to be cautious about coming back and sitting across from someone and looking through their discard pile. Because even though you always portray the trading card game as if there's an invisible wall between you two, cards never cross the wall. You're still reaching over, cutting someone's deck, looking through their discard pile, stuff like that. There's still a lot of interaction between people that I think that, even after most of the restrictions are lifted, there's going to be some people that are scared out there to go to leagues.
You're closer than 6 feet apart. You're only about maybe 3 or 4 feet apart. Then.
Yeah.
Well, and we all run leagues, and we all know that leagues are a very tenuous creature. I mean, it only takes a couple of times of them showing up and you're not there for a parent to say, "I'm not bringing my kid anymore."
Yeah,
and they come
sure.
20 times and everything's perfect, but one time. And so now we've got a break of literally probably 6-8 months by the time all this is said and done. So kind of scary. I mean, I know the game will come back and build up again, but I think we're going to have a reduction in our league numbers for a while.
Yeah.
Or on the other hand, maybe all of a sudden people will be like, "I'm stuck in the house for so long. Finally, there's something to do."
Well, that's a
predict.
way to look at it.
It's hard to predict. Yeah.
I have had a couple of players who had dropped out of actively being in the game, or now, for this pre-release, they're contacting me and saying, "Yeah, I got back interested in Pokemon again. Sitting at home with
That's cool.
with the COVID restrictions, and so I'm looking to get back in the game again. So
yeah,
I'm
stuck at home. I'm stuck at home. I don't have anything to do. Oh, maybe I'll sort my Pokemon card collection.
I think that the organized play part of it, while it might take a little bit of a setback here, the brand is really strong. So
yes.
I think it's coming back.
Yeah.
And
they've already talked about
TCG. This is a TCG cast, but one of the things that's kind of helping it tide over is the online properties. The Pokemon TCG online is fantastic. It runs very smooth, and it can really keep you cooking there. And of course, Go is that game that you end up playing while you're standing in line or waiting for things to happen.
Sorry.
It's and
you doing a
they
raid
have
there,
all the
Chris?
other mobile games.
It's Wednesday night, right?
Rich,
That's right.
what are you doing, Chris?
He's raiding.
Oh, nothing.
He's getting Zekroms or something.
Oh my God.
See what I
You think
mean?
I've been paying attention to you guys all this time?
Rich, you're right, as usual.
All right. Well, I was real great having everybody on like this and discussing the rulings. I think, for those who don't know, we generally have meetings. Up until recently, we've been doing them text versions, but we recently switched to doing video meetings, and it's really great having these discussions with like-minded people where we get to hang out and discuss things we love. So I really appreciate you guys joining us in this discussion. And unless anyone has anyone want any words to sign off? And okay.
Stay safe. Keep having fun with Pokemon.